fully automatic reconnaissance device, System 4, designed to intercept facsimile, voice, TV, point-to-point communications, early warning, fire control, and missile guidance radars, plus many other signal types. The system automatically gives priority to intercepts above 10,000 megacycles. It performs automatically most of the functions of a C-54 load of ferret equipment manned by several human operators. System 4 can intercept both pulsed and CW signals. Upon signal intercept, it records the signal frequency, its relative intensity, the time of intercept, and whether the source appeared to the right or left of the aircraft. The system utilizes this specially developed tape recorder to produce 14 records simultaneously on 1-inch wide magnetic tape. Demodulated signals are recorded on both magnetic tape and photographic film. Film recording provides for extreme resolution of intercepted signal structure. System 4 is extensively miniaturized and transistorized. It employs a total of 25 antennas to cover the frequency range from 141 megacycles to 40,000 megacycles. Except for those intervals when its receivers are locked to signal sources, System 4 is always searching. As with Lockheed and Hycon, Ramo Woolrich worked under the tightest security restrictions with resulting engineering problems. Vendor-supplied equipment, for example, failed at high altitudes and was redesigned by System 4 engineers to avoid explaining why the original equipment had failed. All 4 Ramo Woolrich systems, developed under the supervision of Dr. Burton F. Miller, have the obvious advantage of being completely passive listening posts. Newly completed duplicating equipment will automatically record 4 copies of an 8-hour tape recording in 2 hours. Then the ground-based job of extracting and pinpointing intelligence information begins. The APQ-56, developed under the direction of C.E. Nobles, Surveillance Radar Project Manager of Westinghouse, puts reconnaissance information on the face of a radar scope. This scope face is photographed on a continuously moving strip of film to present pictures like this scene of the San Francisco Bay Area, taken through a heavy overcast from 70,000 feet. The Golden Gate Bridge, the Oakland Bay Bridge, the San Francisco waterfront. AFOTE, an air sampling device designed and built by Lockheed, utilizes this nose scoop for one of 3 types of sniffer equipment to record high-altitude radioactivity. Air samples pass through filter paper that traps particles later analyzed on the ground. A second version of AFOTE is a gaseous sampling unit. Samples of high-altitude atmosphere are compressed by this 4-stage hydraulic pump. An indicator in the pilot's compartment shows the presence of radioactivity. The pilot then selects any one of these 6 reservoirs, and the compressor fills the bottle to 3,000 pounds per square inch. After flight, the compressed air sample is analyzed. The third AFOTE system, a particulate air sampler, can also be mounted in the equipment bay in conjunction with the other 2 units. This magazine carries 6 specially constructed filter papers that are placed in the airstream inside the scoop of the equipment hatch. Filters are changed in flight by this record changer, not unlike the mechanism of a jukebox. 3 angels will be assigned to do advanced research in the fields of high-altitude weather, medical equipment, and electronic devices. Thus, the original press disclosure of the Angel as a very high-altitude weather research aircraft proves to be factual. Lessons learned from the Angel are most notable in the field of personal equipment. When pilots fly higher by 20,000 feet than man has ever flown for extended periods of time, equipment changes are necessary. General Don Flickinger, Chief of the Personal Equipment Section of the Air Research and Development Command, took direct charge of the Accelerated Development Program. Equipment originally designed for at the most 5 minutes at 70,000 feet was refined to the point where men could live in it for many hours. Then again, a development program that was going ahead slowly was given a king-sized shot in the arm, and a normal 5 years of work was crammed into 18 months. The Firewell Company has developed an unusual survival kit for pilots of the Angel. Here, the unit is being tested in an altitude chamber that simulates over 80,000 feet. Completely independent of the airplane's oxygen system, the unit is put into use by pulling the green emergency ball. This emergency seat pack consists of a high-pressure storage tank containing sufficient oxygen for 15 minutes and a sensitive regulator to properly control oxygen flow. The altimeter at the left indicates 82,000 feet. In addition, the seat pack contains a conventional survival kit. Before suiting up for high-altitude flights, pilots spend a minimum 2 hours pre-breathing pure oxygen to expel all nitrogen from their systems. High flights without pre-breathing would result in nitrogen bubbles forming in the blood, the painful and often fatal bends encountered by deep-sea divers. Psychological problems have developed. Pilots find the confines of the helmet and faceplate conducive to claustrophobia. A number of pilots have been dropped from the program because of this single factor. During the 2 hours of pre-breathing, the pilot receives a final weather briefing based on the latest meteorological information along his flight route. The flight surgeon makes a routine check of pulse and blood pressure to compare with a record made after the flight. Faceplate problems have plagued the physical equipment people. Condensation of moisture inside the helmet fogs the pilot's vision. Moisture has collected so deep inside the mask that pilots have had to snap the faceplate open for an instant to dump it out. A hazardous operation at best, since failure of the faceplate to properly seat itself will expose the pilot to hypoxia. A fix with a miniature moisture drain was developed. 10 hours at altitude takes a lot out of a man. Pilots are instructed to remain as relaxed as possible while being dressed. All their energy must be hoarded for the flight. Analysis by flight surgeons specializing in high altitude shows that pilots are required to solve as many problems in a single flight as a man on the ground might be called on to solve in 3 or 4 months of 8 hours a day work. The modified MA2 partial pressure suits are personally fitted for each pilot. A loss of only 2 pounds in the pilot's weight could make the suit ineffective, or a gain of 2 pounds would make it almost impossible to get into. Gloves and boots are fitted, and the protective helmet shell is secured. Finally, the bright flying suit is put on. Still breathing pure oxygen from a walk-around bottle, the pilot is ready to be driven to the flight line. Here again, teamwork and training pay off. The slightest deviation from established procedures could cause this flight to fail. Ground crews at Watertown take pride in having their flights leave the ground within 30 seconds of the scheduled time. A checklist of many items must be completed before the engine is started: oxygen, radio, navigational equipment. The fire truck pulls up close, just in case. Compressors on the starting unit come up to speed. A flame ignites in the combustion chamber. Heat waves bounce from the black top of the Watertown flight strip. As the scheduled takeoff time approaches, the canopy is closed. The throttle goes forward to 100%. The wings gain lift. The pogos fall away. Another flight is airborne. Because of the small area of Watertown, the Angel must climb out of sight before venturing out on a long cross-country flight. At this rate of climb, it doesn't take long. During development of the Angel and its primary reconnaissance cargo, a number of significant aids have been developed for the pilot. Without the Lear autopilot and its integral Mach sensor, extended flight would be an even greater strain on the pilot. Developed specifically for the Angel, the Mach sensor keeps the aircraft in a cruise climb condition at a constant Mach number during its entire flight. The Mach sensor keeps the Angel tightrope walking that increasingly narrow line between critical Mach speed on the one hand and flame-out speed on the other. A 7-knot drop in indicated cruising airspeed would cause the older Dash 37 engines to flame out at altitude, while an increase in indicated speed of only 12 knots brings the aircraft to the point of compressibility. The new Dash 31 engine is able to remain lit at somewhat lower ram air speeds, but the critical Mach number of 0.8 still exists. Here, as seen by few men, is what the world looks like from 70,000 feet. These scenes were photographed over Arizona by Ray Gowdy, one of the 5 Lockheed test pilots who have handled all development and production testing of the Angel. Training of new pilots begins with the T-33 for familiarization flights. The pilot must be able to hold the T-bird inches in the air for the length of the lake, so that he will be able to hold the Angel at the same altitude until its broad wings lose all their lift. This mastered, he graduates to the Angel and transition landings on the dry lake. A chase car and chase plane, both with two-way radio, are used during this phase of training. Seat belts in the chase car are good insurance. The new Angel pilot makes at least 3 landings with the pogos installed. She's a little easier to handle that way. Takeoffs are smooth from Groom Lake. A wide circle as the chase plane plays Follow the Leader. Now turn in on final approach, says the instructor in the chase plane. Your airspeed is 92 knots. The chase car pulls into line and picks up speed. He's leveling off just a little high, and at 72 knots, here comes the stall. The best way to land the Angel is in a full stall, just like the old-fashioned airplanes with tail wheels. The broad, dry lake at Watertown makes an ideal location for this type of transition training. After the landings improve, the pogo safety pins are removed, and the new pilot is on his own. Even well-qualified pilots can have their troubles with the Angel. Any lift remaining in those broad wings and she'll go back into the air. However, it isn't long until the new pilots can put the Angel down on the very first try and make her stick, like this. They can even taxi the U-2 right up the runway and turn off on the ramp, if our photographer will get out of the way. Sometimes the drivers taxi right up to the hangar doors. Not bad at all for an airplane that's supposed to be hard to handle on the ground. After a number of day flights, the new Angel pilots are ready for night transition and long cross-country flights. It's no accident that the complete Angel and all its intricate cargo can be disassembled and packed quickly, ready for airborne transport. Everything about the Angel can go aboard a cargo plane. Cameras in their dog houses, engines, lab equipment and supplies, ground support equipment, and of course the Angel herself. Men and belongings too are air transportable. Thus you have the plane, the pilot, the equipment, and the ground support to put it into the air, all in one neat package to be sent out on wings. The result of foresight and planning, engineering, precise and rapid manufacture. That's it, what it is and what it can do. A vital chapter in modern American achievement. From the desert wastelands of Watertown, it's but a matter of hours to anywhere in the world where reconnaissance might be desired. The most important airplane, the most important cargo in the air today is in this single package, the Inquisitive Angel.